everyone, I'm Amber. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be reviewing It Ends With Us, starring Blake Lively. And I liked this movie. I say this about so many different things. I really did like this movie. I liked the message, but I feel like the way that things were depicted were a little less, well, they shouldn't have been simplistic, but I feel like certain decisions that she made were just not right. And let me just say this, okay? Yes, I understand it's a very, very, touchy issue, trigger warning. Like, we're going to be talking about spousal abuse and a man hitting a woman, and it is not by any chance okay, and it messes with the mind. But I feel like she was a very intelligent woman. She knew once she knew for certain, because of course, there's a lot of gaslighting and you not believing it or wanting to believe it or thinking it's something else, or she still invited him back. And I don't know if it was to prove a point or for him just to see the daughter be born, but I just didn't think that was okay. I think she should have stayed clear, especially if the last thing that he had done to her was press her down against a bed and bite her and injure her and basically almost assault her and rape her, basically assault her and almost rape her. It was not okay, and I don't think that should have been allowed. And also, it was a very slow-paced movie. Even the scenes where they were arguing, it didn't heat up until the moment she was slapped or she was pushed or whatever the case may be. And I don't know if that was done intentionally, but I feel like parts of the movie bored me when we were just dealing with the plot and what was going on in her day-to-day life. I wasn't invested in her. I was invested in what was happening to her mentally and physically. And that is why I was invested in the movie. Otherwise, I probably would not have continued watching it. I just felt it was, very slow-paced, very... Blake Lively speaks in very hushed kind of tones and everything, and it's already she plays characters that are very, kind of humble and shy and quiet, and I don't feel like this worked for that character. This character was more loud, more buoyant, more she was a very strong individual who this happened to, and so I just she looked beautiful. The outfits, everything was beautiful, but I just feel like her personality didn't do well for this character. Whereas her male counterpart on screen, it worked fantastically for. He was very much seemed like this conniving kind of messed up individual. And when I watched him, I didn't watch Jane the Virgin, but when I watched, parts of Jane the Virgin, he was a completely different character and had a completely different personality. He was able to portray those different characters. And I think this one he did so well. And it just didn't mesh with Blake Lively's very humble, quietness. And that, I think, didn't help the movie because it made her seem like the quiet kind of target rather than this can happen to any individual, and we know it can happen to individuals who are quiet, who are loud. But I think we have yet to see a movie where, and then this is what the character seems like, where it's a very, dominant woman who this happens to, because it happens to everybody, men, women, And so I have yet to read the book, but I want to. I have yet to read a Colleen Hoover book because I hear mixed reviews, but I felt that I needed more from her character, from her, as an actress, and that's a lot to say. I think that the movie could have done a lot better had that been worked on, had that been played on more, had maybe they chose a different actress. Not to say I don't love Blake Lively. I love Blake Lively. Excuse me. But yeah. And Atlas, I felt like, did he turn British? He was not British, and then he had an accent. He had an accent that I couldn't quite pinpoint. And I was like, you didn't have that accent before. Beautiful man. I'm happy that they didn't go that she went directly to him and fell in love with him. She was drawn to him, and yes, that affected the relationship, but at the same time she was going through things, and if it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be. But then she had to deal with that other aspect of her relationship with her husband, and she recognized right away when he hit her the first time. She was like, what was that? And then she was kind of analyzing, okay, where he was getting burned, and okay, maybe it was, I'm just overthinking. But at the point where it's the second fight and she ends up falling down the stairs, I think maybe she should have put 2 and 2 together. But again, it was kind of it happened so quickly. I ended up in front of him. It was an accident. I was right here. The stairs were right here. I can see where, it was not until he was physically on her. It's this is really happening. He's not listening. I am very conscious and aware of what is going on, I think that, they chose a fantastic person for Atlas, minus the accent. He was a wonderful character, a wonderful friend to be around and everything, and I'm happy that he was just kind of, there, to, watch over, and it wasn't even, a romantic interest until the very end, and even then, I didn't need that at the end. I didn't need her, coming to him and being I'm no longer in a relationship with this guy, which good for you. Why did you invite him to hospital and to build baby crib? But I was just content with, he was this figure, this presence, this angel for her, and to remind her of who she was and everything like that. So I was very, very content. Very, very content with that, just let alone. But they had to make romance happen and everything. I kind of loved that they named the daughter Emmy after the brother that passed away. I would have liked to have seen kind of a flashback scene, but it was from her point of view. When I hear Lily Bloom, I think back to Hannah Montana and Emily Osment, and she's saying the Lily Bloom. I don't know if anyone remembers that, when she's referring to her in Orlando Bloom, and her name is Lily. But yeah, I love that he was this homeless individual, and he ended up making things for himself happen. And I don't know if when her dad was Owen Hunt from Grey's Anatomy, by the way. I think that was seeing him so mad. I'm this is an excellent choice, because he's such a great actor, and he has such power, and when he's mad, when he had the PTSD episode, and just that's what it reminded me of, and I'm just this man made it happen. He I wanted to see more, but I think we saw enough, for the movie purposes and everything. But it's did Atlas was that the last time that he was there? Because Lily said, oh, my mom didn't even recognize you. So does that mean he was around more? I don't know. I don't remember what the dad died of. But he was just such a he did that part justice. The younger girl that they chose for Lily, I think I think worked. Her hair was maybe a little bit redder, but it worked. I mean, it's when they do that, it's like always like, iffy, because like it's only a few years off. They don't look that different. They're already like, puberty has already happened. But you never know. And I love that she, like, in the scene where she's I don't love that this is happening, but like I love that when she is getting assaulted, like the young her, it's like flashing back from her when it happened to her mother, and her father was on top of her, and she's walking into the room and she's witnessing this, but she's also witnessing herself. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh my god, I was like in a book. It was poetry. It was amazing. It was the most beautiful like thing I have ever seen. And that parallel, those metaphors, yes. My English major brain just was like, this is the best part of the movie right here. And if this is in the book, I would love to see how it's depicted. If this was just a choice in the movie, it was a great like choice made by the director. Beautiful. And then we go back and she's like remembering kind of what happened and everything, like having those flashbacks. Oh, it did happen like this. Oh, it did happen like this. Or maybe this is what really happened. I don't know how exactly it was like perceived, but it was just like, man. And then like the bite marks, I'm like, poor girl. And it's right by, I think, where the heart is. It's just like, oh my god. I wanted to see more scenes with her and Atlas when they were younger, kind of to see like what happened after that. She's like, did you go to the military? Like, what happened? And I'm just like, I wanted more, just a little bit more to kind of like, oh my goodness, when her husband made her read the review and was like pushing it on her, like, read it, and she's like, just like, stop. And it's just like, oh my god, I wanted to slap him so bad. Oh my god, the anger I felt towards this man. It was just like, this poor girl who never wanted to follow in her mother's footsteps, and it ended up happening to her. And she's a strong, independent woman, and it's not like she was looking for love. It just kind of happened, and then like that one scene where like they first are intimate together, and he's like, there's something between us, and she's like, no, I don't think so, blah blah this, and she's like, putting up these boundaries. Clearly she's attracted to them, but she's like, no, and maybe it would have faded away with time. And he's just like, shut up. And I'm like, no, you do not let a man talk to you like that. Not like that. No. It was this aggressive, like, oh no, it hit me in my bones. Like, I'm just getting like goosebumps just thinking about it. Oh my god, I have never been more impacted by certain scenes in a movie. Like, those scenes were really good. They were really good. And then there were scenes where I'm just like, why is so much potential? Like, why? I love how the mom was just kind of around too. She was like around in the perfect moments. The sister, oh my god, what is she gonna do? She's best friends with this guy's sister. Is she not gonna see him? Like, what on earth? And the fact that the sister, she seemed very loopy, kind of like go with the flow, okay, kind of. And then she became a solidified human being character who had a baby, who like had a relationship, like, and was like, very aware of who her brother was and how he acted, and that his decisions and what he did was not okay. And she was like, on one hand, he's my brother, and if in that case I would tell you, like, no, take him back. But then as your friend, I would tell you, don't ever like see him again, leave him. Like, I think it was such a beautiful moment, and I didn't see very many best friend moments between them. Like, I just remember her in the beginning, and but on the sides I was seeing her become this character, and she was just this character, that I really wanted to be more present in the movie, because she was such a important aspect of it. And I loved her. She was great. And now looking back, I feel like just how powerful like those like little moments in the movie really were, and I really wanted more of that. Um, oh my goodness, like I got just like so many goosebumps, and like in those scenes I like zoned out and I was brought back to a place. But anyway, and you know, like I was looking at it, I'm like, girl, why you keep like, you know, begging him, like going, like, you know, he wants his alone time, he's gonna slap you, like, you know, stop like following him, and like, you know, getting him more angry. But in those moments, you know, like, and it's not her fault, it's not, you know. And there are times when she's like, stop, and like she's very, I think she is good about keeping her boundaries, but in like in those moments she's in love, and she's like trying to fix things and everything. And then, you know, she's also dealing with like figuring out what her emotions are for this other guy, because this clearly is not working out. So you know, your mind is like, if you're not in a good relationship, and of course if you have history with someone, that's another thing, you know, your mind is not completely there 100%, you know, and you might fall for someone else. So there's all these different things that she's like dealing with, and I'm like, this poor girl, and I just wish Blake Lively would have been able to do her more justice. Like, oh my god, the actress that they chose for the younger her, perfect, perfect. Like, I would have chosen an adult version of her. She was great, she was spunky, she was like, yes. But man, and like, I love the cheesiness of her, like, you know, opening up her own flower shop, and her name is Lily Bloom, and like, you know, her best friend just walking in the day of and it's like, I don't like flowers, and she's like, Lily's like telling her why she likes flowers, and then she's like, yes. And it's just like this poetic, she's very poetic, kind of like, you know, hippie, and I loved that about her. But and Blake Lively kind of has that, you know, it's just the way she vocalized things, and I can't, you know, nitpick that, but it's the strength behind that, and the shyness, and just, I needed a little bit more, you know, just more power, and I feel like maybe she could have done it, you know. And she's proud of this movie, she has every right to be proud of this movie, but I just think it would have done better had it been a more, you know, like solidified pace, and, you know, more established her as a character. But oh my goodness, like, and then them like fighting like in the restaurant, and it's his restaurant, of course, and everything, and like there's just so many scenes like that I didn't expect to happen. I'm just like, wow, that was well done, you know. And then we kind of went back to the slow pace, and I'm just like, and I know we're going through the day to day, but at the same time, like, it was just too slow. um I love the flashbacks with her and Atlas. I loved how they were so random, and like, you know, clearly her attention was elsewhere during these moments where she was thinking back, or when we were just seeing, like, you know, the flashbacks. It was just great, you know. And it wasn't necessarily her just thinking about it. It was just kind of like showing us what happened, like based on something that had already happened, and like kind of like showing us the reversal of it. Back in the day, like when she was with Atlas, like how there was a better version of that, or just like showing their relationship. But then when she sees Atlas like there in person and everything, she recognizes him by his scar and everything, and like they don't look the same. I'm sorry, like he was blonde, like he was brunette originally, like now he's blonde, like, you know, she kind of looks the same, I guess, but you know, I was like, that's the only way she recognized him, but he recognized her right away. And so like she's like captivated by him. She's like, oh my goodness, like, you know, like he is a presence, and he is such a good guy. And right away, like, you know, and always, you know, putting her first, and always, like, you know, being this, like I said, angelic figure for her, not even just a romantic figure, not really, like he was this savior for her. Not that she needed it, but like, oh, he was such a great guy. And he kept going and coming, even though she kept telling him no, even though he could get hurt. And I kind of wanted to see more as to, I think it had to do with like the killing of his brother, but more as to why. I mean, you don't really need to know why, but I think as a character, I kind of wanted to know more as to why the husband was like that, because not even the sister really knew. She's like, I knew he was like this, but why? And just like, and then there's parts when he doesn't seem like he would be that aggressive. It's more sort of like he's just a very complex man. There was instances where I was just kind of like, I didn't believe it for a second, but I think he did good. I think he did a brilliant job. I just think that there was moments where things that his character did were said in a way that was too nice, or like, but that's the thing with, people like this, like narcissists. So I guess like it worked. But yeah, I really liked parts of this movie. I really did, and I felt like it was a good movie, and I liked it. But I think that there was potential missed in certain things. So yeah, that's my review. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye.